Every day, Russian troops are pushing along the Ukraine front lines. Jan has been right there in the past days to see for himself how the situation looks like and notice two main points. Ukraine's war is increasingly becoming a war of attrition and, above all, a drone war. According to current estimates, more than two-thirds of all injuries and deaths on the front lines are caused by drones. Jan, you are just coming back from the front lines. You're in Kiev right now. How was the situation there? Can you describe it a little bit?
Well, it was really quite depressing, to be honest. We were not right on the front line, but very close in the so-called stabilization points. I'm sure you have heard about them. No, they are kind of like emergency medicine centers for the soldiers, maybe 10, 15 kilometers away from the front lines, where there are some nurses, some doctors, and they do everything. Sometimes it's just small wounds, sometimes it's really open heart surgery that they do there. It's quite crazy the amount of work and the dedication they have, and also like their working schedules. They basically work 24 hours, and whenever maybe there is no patient for 1 or 2 hours, they go to sleep a little bit and then they start again. But it's exactly what you already mentioned. A lot of soldiers that came in with wounds, they had wounds because of these FPV drones. You know, maybe they didn't explode right, inside their trenches or in the next to the car. Sometimes a little bit further away, but it still causes, because of the shrapnel, it can still cause severe injuries. So basically, every half hour, every hour, they brought soldiers with such kind of wounds. It's not only drones; it's also, of course, other injuries. There's even a lot of car accidents because they often have to also drive without lights during the night, and then they are completely also without sleep for days under high pressure. So there's also a lot of car accidents. But it's also a big problem that because of this increased usage of drones, also surveillance drones, it's very difficult for the evacuation teams to bring the soldiers from the front lines to those stabilization points, because often they are attacked also on the way. That's also a big problem connected to this war, that regulations regarding the Geneva Conventions, that humanitarian work and medical work should be treated differently, is not really, it's not counting much on the front lines. So you have the problems that it's difficult to evacuate the soldiers. They sometimes have to stay for days with their injuries, somewhere, and hide until they can be evacuated. That means more, also amputations that might not be necessary but become necessary because they just have maybe their tourniquet and are with these injuries for a long time. And also the stabilization points are often attacked, so also by drones, very often also of course by artillery and other weapons, but they also increasingly try to have these stabilization points underground to have a little bit more protection there.
How dangerous was it for you then to be at this stabilization point? Like, was there active threats that drones could also attack there, or how was that for you?
Well, the doctor said that there have been attacks very close recently, and you could always hear the sound of drones in the sky. Not always, but very often. When you went outside for the doctors had a smoke or just to relax for a few minutes, you could you could hear it quite loudly. And we also, because of the danger of these evacuations, most of the evacuations happen at night, when there are also of course drones that can see things moving at night, but a lot of the cheaper drones can't, so they try to evacuate people at night to be more protected. So the peak working hours are after 10 p.m. until the early morning, so we stayed half the night, and then when we went back from the stabilization point to Dnipro, where we spent the night, it was also quite a trip, because especially during this night there was a lot of attacks. So I was really happy, to be honest, when I was back in the house in Dnipro, and could at least sleep for a few hours until the morning. But of course, I'm lucky. The doctors continue to work probably until until the last patient comes, and then they have a little rest and they start over.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, there have been a lot of report recently about this new system. I'm not really sure, and maybe you can tell me if it was implemented already or if it's just speculation, that there's like a point-based system for Ukrainian soldiers flying drones so they can collect points if they kill or destroy Russian targets. Almost like in a video game. What can you tell me about that?
I've also heard about it, and it's also again related to the massive use of drones on both sides of the conflict. From what I hear, this system has been in place for a while, but they have adjusted it and they have increased it now. It basically, like you said, it's like drone pilots get E points for if they hit a car, if they damage infrastructure, if they kill a soldier on the other side. And with these E-points, they can go kind of to a digital market. They even call it like the wartime Amazon market, and they can use the E-points to buy new equipment, new weapons, and so on. From what I hear, this is a system that is also quite controversial here in Ukraine. Some say, okay, yeah, it's an innovation. It helps soldiers to be more motivated, but like you said, it even gets more this feeling of a video game like this, and already with its drone war, it becomes very virtual, very abstract, everything. So of course, killing, or let's say war is always about killing, and it's very easy to have moral debates somewhere safe and protected. Yeah, but yeah, war is about killing, but maybe killing should be a necessary part of it, or considered as a hard but necessary part, and like celebrated by giving points, or really by in such a way by dehumanizing in a way also the enemy. It's just, yeah, I can just repeat it. It feels like a video game. You're just hitting somebody on the screen, not a person that also has a family, that also has as a human being, and has maybe very different reasons to end up there on the front lines. It's a very controversial thing, but yeah, it contributes to this whole development. I think that these wars become more and more virtual, and the killing and everything becomes more and more abstract in a way.
Really interesting, but as you say, shocking and impressive somehow at the same time. Thanks so much, Jan, for this update. Glad you're back in Kiev. So stay safe there, and we talk again soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good day.